Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back once again to the workshop. And I'm Siddhant from Print Shop by Designhill. And today we are bringing you the second workshop by Catalina Brenes on how to do awesome lettering with office supplies. So, guys, no excuses. And for the people who joined us for the first time, she did a workshop with us before as well, and it was a huge success. And she's back by public demand. So, Katerina, tell us how does it feel to be back? And because, of course, you know that you're nothing short of a star for us. How does it feel?
Well, I'm so excited. Thank you, everyone, for asking for a part two. Even though we had so many technical difficulties last time, I'm glad that you were excited and like the class and my method and my teaching, because that's what I love to do. I love to share my knowledge and to teach to everyone who wants to learn. And now that we are stuck at home, finding new things to do, new techniques, letter styles, and everything, and taking advantage of the tools that we have, I think it's a key part of the learning process. So that's what I'm here to share with you today. More lettering styles with everyday office supplies.
Of course, and we can see there's a lot of love showering for you in the chat section. Thank you so much, Alvadina. Thank you so much, Shahid and Ekta, of course. Guys, please shower some love so we can bring such awesome workshops for you. And going on the same lines, a huge shout out to Print Shop, the production partner, the world's fastest growing print on demand marketplace. Where artists of any forte can showcase their creativity on 50 plus products, set up their shop, and can sell throughout the world without worrying about printing, logistics, customer service, because it is taken care of by us. So you just create and sell. So now, without much further ado, let us go ahead with Catalina and just enjoy the session right now. Catalina, totally up to you now.
Thank you. Well, welcome everyone who's joining us today. What are we going to do today? Today, I'm going to teach you how to make Gothic style letters. So last time we learned Roman style letters, and what we used, or what I asked you to have ready at home, are two pencils wrapped with a rubber band. What we're going to learn today is an alternate way to make letters if in case you don't have the professional tools. But if you do have them, you can use them as well. But I do think that this is a great opportunity to practice, since you can erase the mistakes and be more precise on each of the strokes, and pay attention to the strokes and the technique without worrying that there are no do-overs when you work with ink. But in case you do have any of these tools, then I do invite you to work with pencil and then try everything that we learned today with the professional tools, which would be a nib or parallel pen, for example. Well, I don't know if you do have any other like flat nib tools, but you can do share in the comments, and we can talk about other tools. Two regular graphite pencils wrapped with one rubber band. I do advise only one rubber band. I'm going to use two with the markers because since they're not straight, they do tend to move. But with pencils, I have found that it's easier and they move less when it's just one rubber band. So you're going to move the rubber band like to 1/3 of the length of the pencil, so that you won't be holding the rubber band because it's gonna be uncomfortable. Okay, if I have any left-hand writers, then maybe you'll want to have one of the pencils longer than the other one. Okay, and when you hold it, then the one that's I don't know, well, let's go with the longer pencil. It's gonna be on your thumb. Okay, for the right-handed people, then you can have them completely straight, and that's gonna be easier for you. But sometimes, depending on how you hold your writing tools, maybe you can push one further away from the other, but that you'll have to measure that. I'm gonna show you what I'm expecting of the strokes, and then you'll have to make that call on your own. Okay, so do remember that when holding any writing tool, you're only gonna need 3 of your fingers. Then hold it with only this 3, and then these two are gonna be hidden here. If you do use more fingers to hold your pencils, then this might difficult the process, and it's something that you do want to aspire to correct further in your writing, lettering practice, okay? Now I'm gonna use markers. And if you do have a whiteboard at home, I do encourage you to expand the proportion of the letters, because using, writing in smaller sizes and bigger sizes, that does give you more more security on the strokes, and getting out of your comfort zone. So, or maybe you can just use a big sheet of paper and paste it on the wall and use regular big markers. Okay, now let's talk about the height of the strokes. Okay, so what we call the nib height would be this width here. So depending on the width, on the nib size, this width changes, but it's always called the measure. It's we measure it in nibs. So of course, in my case, it's gonna be bigger, since the two tips are further apart from each other. And if you do use pencils, then they're gonna be closer. If you're using a regular nib, then it's gonna be smaller. Okay, but every time that you start your practice, you need to define what's gonna be the height of your letters. Okay, so remember that with all letters, we have different heights, and I'm gonna write them here. So we have the baseline. That's gonna be the main line where all the letters are gonna sit. Then we're gonna have the X height. And the space between these two for Gothic style letters, it's gonna be 5 nib heights, okay? So 5 pen widths, okay? So how are you gonna measure them? You're just gonna do horizontally a straight line, and then where the second pen did the line, then you're gonna press the second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time. Okay, so 5 pen widths for the X height, then 2 for the ascenders, 2 for the ascenders, and 2 for the descenders. Okay, so get your ruler and make the lines. I already have them here. So I'm gonna go and start right away, but do get ready with all the lines so that your letters are straight. What we're gonna start doing are the basic strokes that we're gonna need in order to then mix them up to get all the letters. I'm not gonna do the alphabet in order, but I'm gonna mix the letters depending on what shapes are repeated among a specific set of letters. And it's gonna be easier for you. So this way, you can make sure that letters that share the same shape are alike, okay? Remember that letters, every time, regardless of the letter style that you're working on, letters are like a family, okay? So it's like they're siblings. So they do share physical characteristics on height and width and slant and the type of stroke. So you do need to pay attention to these details to make sure that they all are part of one family and they share one last name, okay? And they're not mixed, and it's not like, the neighbor that was invited to the party and doesn't match with the rest of the family that's there, okay? So, so I'm gonna also number my pens or my pencils, whatever you're using. So the one that's closer to your thumb, it's gonna be number 1, and the one that's further away, it's going to be number 2. In my case, black, it's going to be number 1, and red, it's going to be number 2. Okay, so this way, when I do tell you which pen is sitting on a specific line, then you'll know where to place it in your sheet of paper. Okay, so let's start with the basic strokes, and this is the trick. All Gothic letters are super straight, okay? So please don't feel sad if they're crooked at first. It's something that you'll need to practice, okay? And the good thing is that with pencil, then you can fix it and feel more comfortable with, you know, the construction and the parts. And then when you do try it with ink, then you'll be able to just pay attention to the, you know, how straight your lines are and not be thinking of the parts and the construction and the direction of each stroke. So you do need to think that this is, you know, one step at a time. And now we're just learning the parts. Then when you do practice at home afterwards on your own pace, on your own time, then you can pay attention on how straight your lines are, okay? But what needs to be clear today is how you construct each stroke. So thing number 1, the angle. That's the most important thing that you do need to pay attention. And sometimes when you do use the professional tools, you can miss the angle because it's always gonna, you know, you're always gonna have a stroke regardless if the angle is correct or not. But when you do double pencil calligraphy, if you're not doing the angle correctly, then it's gonna show. So it's easier for you to notice on the mistakes. So what's the angle? You do need a 30-degree angle. So if we have, you know, 90 degrees, 45 degrees, then it's, you know, like here. How do I know that the angle is correct? When you do a line, they match. So the stroke of red and black, they go one on top of the other. If the angle is incorrect, then you're gonna have a double line like that, okay? So please pay attention that every time that if you have double lines, the angle is incorrect. They always need to match one on top of the other, okay? So what I do recommend is that, you know, you just try on top of your the sheet of paper, just do the angle, and once you have it correct, okay, then just leave that one, and that will be the reference so that every time that you start a new stroke, then you just go ahead and you place your pens there, and you'll know that the angle is correct, okay? So go ahead and have your 30-degree angle ready, okay? Now, stroke number 1, we're gonna do an X height stroke. So I don't know if it's gonna be easier for you if you do see the lines, but I'm gonna paint them here. Okay, so stroke number 1, so I place my pens on 30 degrees, and it's just gonna be a straight line, okay? Now, obviously, with the double pen style, the strokes are gonna be open, so you do need to go back and then close them, okay? Once you make one stroke, you go back and you close it, okay? So here, you just use one pencil and you close your stroke. So it's gonna have the 30-degree slant that you see here, okay? And how do you know where to start, where to finish? You do place pencil number 2 on the X height line, and once pencil number 1 reaches the baseline, then you stop. So you see my black pen reaches the baseline, my red pen starts in the X height, okay? So if you do have 2 colors of pencil, it's gonna be easier, but you know, if you're using like coloring pencils or any other type of writing tool. Okay, that's my dog. I hope that he behaves today, so I'm sorry. Okay, so this is gonna be the main stroke. Now, using the same angle, we're gonna do small strokes going like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. You do need to close them, so they should look like this. That's stroke number 2, okay? Now we mix them. So we go 1. We're gonna do them separately, okay? We want there to be a gap between stroke 1 and stroke 2, okay? So 1, 2, 3, okay? So you see there's a gap. Why do I need you to leave a gap? Because we do need to understand that where do we change direction? Where do we end and start each of the strokes? 1 pen width is the first stroke, then 3 would be the vertical stroke, and then 1 pen width, the last one. So you can make additional lines with your pencil to know where to start and where to end. So I'm not gonna do it because it's gonna be super confusing for you with all the lines and everything, but do pay attention that here I have my pen widths, okay? So it would be 1 for the first stroke, 3 for the second one, 1 for the last one, okay? So now we do them on still they're gonna be separate strokes, but we do want them to touch, okay? So it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, okay? And we need to close the stroke. That's gonna be my main stroke, and all my letters are gonna be constructed using this stroke, okay? This is gonna be my star stroke, okay? Now, we can start the stroke open, how to say it, with a movement that would help me close the stroke without having to do this at the end, okay? So how would be that, what would be that movement? It would be something like this. You start, if you place the red pen on the X height, then you have the pen width here. But what if you, in that position, start the stroke, and now you go like this, and then you go down like a number 1, okay? And then you close it, okay? So yes, of course, please do use pencils. Maybe you joined late, and I did explain that you should be using 2 pencils or 2 coloring pencils or whatever you have in hand, and just wrap it with a rubber band, okay? It's just that for the scale, I need to use the markers, okay? So in this way, the strokes are already closed. So it's like 1 pen width here, and then the one of the stroke, and it's already closed, okay? So I do need to make my start stroke. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, close, okay? And now I have my stroke already closed in one movement without having to go back and then close the end of the strokes, okay? Now, here we don't have curves. Everything are straight lines, so we need to make like a make-believe curve, okay? So for example, I'm gonna do the letter O. So we can do this from going from left to right, or from right to left. So if I do start on X height with my number 2 pencil, then match pencil number 1, go down, and then go up, that would be a curve, okay? And it's already closed. The end strokes are closed, okay? Now, if I match it with the other, like on the reflected way of this stroke, then I will place my two pencils where the stroke started, go up, and then make main stroke and close. Okay? So this would be for my circle shapes, round letters. This would be the main shape, okay? So all other shapes are gonna use my star stroke, and then this would be my round stroke, okay? So now let's get into it and start making letters. All we need is this, what I just explained. Oh, of course, if we do have an ascender, then we just need to expand the length, the height. So, but the movement would be exactly the same. Only it's maybe more difficult since, you know, it's a longer stroke, but it's exactly the same, okay? So now let's get started with the letters. I'm just gonna leave my my 30-degree reference there. I'm gonna draw my lines so that you can see them. And remember that we're gonna make we're gonna make the letters are gonna be in disorder, okay? So I'm gonna start with letter I, which is the basic stroke, okay? So, but I'm already gonna do it with a closed end, okay? So remember, further away, 1 nib height away from X height, and then you just go up and main stroke and close, okay? The dot is just a line. That's it, okay? Do we have any questions yet? Because something's popping up.
Yeah, we do have three questions. So do you want to take
Okay.
the highest voted one? The question by Navina. She wants to know that
Okay.
is there any specific
What
ink to
about
use in lettering? Can you hear me?
specific ink to use in lettering? Well, for
Yeah.
yes, if you do use a pen that already comes with ink, it has its own ink. But if you do use a nib, then there's calligraphy ink. There's I don't know how you call it in English. If you do translator from Spanish, it would be Chinese ink, and I think most likely that's not the official word in English. But that's how you would buy it if you go buy it in Spanish. I'll have to look for the name, but usually they say calligraphy ink. And the characteristic is that a see-through ink. It's not. It's very thin, and it won't go. You know, when you write, it doesn't go on the back of the paper. Like it will stick only in front. I don't know how to explain it, but it won't stain the back of the paper. And then there's also someone asking about script font. That would be a part 3. So if you do like this, please do ask for part 3 of this workshop, because definitely we can make script lettering with the double pencil calligraphy style, okay? Okay, so let's get back to it. So that would be the letter I. And now we're just gonna mix it, and with the same main stroke, I can get letter N, okay? So we're gonna start with close and stroke here, and here I'm gonna leave it open because I don't want this line, because it's gonna mess the second stroke. And then here, just again, main stroke and close it. Okay, and that's your letter N. Okay, China ink. Okay, you do call it that way in English. Okay, good. Letter N. Letter N would be exactly the same, only 3 times. Okay, so close stroke at first. And there you have your letter M. Okay. I don't know if you can appreciate it from there. Okay. Now we have letter U. It's exactly the same as letter N, but upside down. Okay, so basic stroke, closed end on your basic stroke. And here, do close the end of the stroke and make a longer line of like 3 pen widths so that you'll have enough space to match the stroke when you go down.
So Catalina, I don't know if you're seeing this or not, but there's already a demand of part 3 in the chat section.
Oh, awesome. That's so exciting. That's so exciting. I'm sure that we can work something out for part 3.
Yeah, of course, of course.
So there's your letter U. Now, letter V, it's basically the same, but we'll end here. This part that I erased of the double, the 3 pen widths that I told you. So it would be a closed end stroke, basic stroke, and then go 3 pen widths, and then close. And that's your letter V. How are you guys doing? Do yours look the same as mine?
Come on, guys. Tell us, how are you guys doing? Are you enjoying the workshop? Are you following her?
Now, W is 2 letter V's, but what we do is 2 main strokes, and then the 3rd stroke, it's gonna be the incomplete stroke, okay? So we go 1 main stroke, 2 main strokes, and then we close. And there you go, letter W. Okay? Finally, on that same group is letter R, okay? It's a little different to do it with pencils. Well, I don't know, like here, I have mine in pencils. This is my cheat sheet. So, and this I did with pencils, okay? So it should be the same. Maybe the difference here, it's more clear because you see 2 colors, but I assure you it's exactly the same. What you do need to pay attention is to always have the 30-degree angle and that both strokes match one on top of the other. If you're having a double line, it means the angle is incorrect and you're not gonna be able to accomplish the letters, okay? Now, letter R. Letter R is the main stroke, close end. And then we're gonna do like the letter N, only incomplete, okay? Just the first part. And that's the letter R. Okay?
That is turning something beautiful, actually. Very methodical, and I can see the patterns emerging now.
Awesome. Okay. Now, let's start mixing. If we have the same shape that I did for the R, but I have it for a round shaped letter, it would be for letter C. Okay, so main stroke, but like the round stroke, remember that it doesn't start from left to right, but it starts from right to left, okay? So pencil number 2 place on X height, then you go down for the round shaped letter, and then you close, and then the same movement that we did for letter R would be the closing stroke. And that's your letter C. okay? Letter E is exactly the same, but we need to continue the closing stroke until we match the main stroke, okay? So, pencil number 2 on X height, you move and you close, okay? So now both lines are matching. That's where you stop, and you know that you have to go down, leave one pen width, and then you break and close the shape, and then repeat up here, and here you close. And that's the letter E, okay? The letter S is coming, okay? So just bear with me. Remember that I'm not doing them in the correct order of the alphabet, but we're grouping them in shapes that they repeat. One, the same shape it's repeating, and the construction. So this way, it will be easier for you to remember the type of strokes, okay? Now we're gonna mix it and go ahead and make the letter Q, okay? So now we're doing a descender, okay? So it's a longer stroke, but the construction of the main stroke is the same as letter C. So we start with stroke number 1 and we close, and then we do place at the top, pen number 2 is placed on X height, and then we make a horizontal line, which we close, and it has kind of a curve. The fact that we're doing straight lines, it doesn't mean that we can't do curves with a double pencil, okay? I can make curves, beautiful curves, okay? It's just, you know, you just need to make a movement with your wrist. So here, we do want a curve at the end of the horizontal stroke. And that curve, it's gonna be outside of the letter, okay? We're gonna place the pen right on the X height, but leaving the curve, it's part like of a flourish, a decoration at the end of the letter, okay? So here we go ahead and we make the descender and we close. And that's your letter Q. Now, letter P would be the same, but upside down. So we start with main stroke, closed end, descender height, okay? And now, curve stroke, and the same movement of the curve, we start outside of the main stroke and match. And that's your letter P. How you doing with the curves?
Guys, how is the journey along the curves? Come on, be a little more interactive. We'd love to hear your feedback. And in the meanwhile, do you want to take a few questions as well?
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead
Yeah, of course. Yeah, let's hop on to them. So let's take a question by, uh, I guess I'm saying the name right, Yup Sweet. So
Oh,
can you please explain how to get started with pencils or pens? How to tie them up using a rubber band, and also the measurement we're using to write on board.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
pretty fundamental. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead to the basics. The two pencils, like, they don't have to be the same size. Ideally, they should be the same type of pencil, though. This is a 2B, so your pencils should match. And I do recommend soft pencils, okay? Maybe 2B, 3B, 4B, okay? Because it's gonna be easier for the movement. If it's a hard pencil or too light, then it's gonna do friction on the paper, and it's gonna be harder for you to make the double stroke, okay? So you do tie them with the rubber band, okay? And I only use one rubber band when I work with pencils. I told you that I'm using two rubber bands with my markers because they're not straight. You see, they're wider at the end, so they do tend to move, and because they're plastic. But usually the pencils, they do make friction and they don't move. And I think it's more uncomfortable when you do have two rubber bands. Now the rubber bands, you're gonna push it so that you will hold your pen below the rubber band, okay? And now you're gonna hold it from the wider side, okay? You're gonna see both pencils like this. If you're right-handed, then you should have them aligned. If you are left-handed, then pencil number 2, which is the one closer to your, pencil number 1, which is the one closer to your thumb, should be longer, okay, like this. Again, for right-handed people, sometimes it's easier if they're not aligned. For me, it works when they're aligned, okay? And regardless of the tool that you're using, the distance between the two pencils is the pen width. So obviously mine is bigger, but for the Gothic style letters, X height is 5 pen widths, ascenders 2 pen widths, descenders 2 pen widths. So you just need to make the measurement like this. This is 1 pen width, then you just match it, 2, 3, and so on, okay? So that's how you get the height. I hope that this solves your question. Oh, Parker ink for calligraphy. Yeah, I love Parker ink. Or there's Waterman ink. It's also a professional ink. And I use, well, I don't know if you carry brands like Winsor & Newton. I like that brand for calligraphy ink. Or the Speedball calligraphy ink, I think is thicker. And it's more like an acrylic style type of ink, but it also works. It depends. The most important thing, regardless of what you're using, it's the combination of 3 elements: the tool, the ink, and the paper. And there's not only one recipe. Like you'll have to, take notes on, which, because the nibs, they come in different type of metals, and some are softer, some are harder, so they'll work different on each type of paper. But each ink will react differently on each type of paper, so you'll have to just try and experiment, definitely. What else?
So things and Parkering. Would you use a second stroke bold? It's a question by Shahid Khan. I don't know if I'm getting the question right.
Yeah,
There's a
I don't know
question
what
here.
you mean. Maybe rewrite the question in a different way, because
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean. We use second stroke bold. Yeah, I don't know what you
So
mean.
Shahid, if you don't mind, buddy, please rephrase the question. And there was this question I was playing around when I got these submissions. People actually wanted to know your journey as an artist. How did you started calligraphing and lettering, and how's the journey till now on professional and personal level, both?
Okay, so well, I'm a graphic designer, and I
Wow.
was what?
Oh, actually, I didn't expect that you were a graphic
Oh,
designer.
you
Actually, I
didn't know
thought you
that?
were an
Oh yeah.
hardcore lettering artist.
No, I'm a graphic designer,
Ah,
and I decided, well, when I was doing when I was getting my degree, my graduation project, I designed a book, and that's where I fell in love with editorial design, and I decided that I wanted to learn more about editorial design. And the main thing on editorial design is typography. So I didn't really know that back then. It was like 2012. And I started looking for master's degree, and it turned out that what you would get was a typography master's, because that's what you needed to do to then do editorial design. And in order to learn typography and how to design fonts, you first need to learn how to draw them. So basically, it's calligraphy, typography design, and then editorial design. That would be like the steps. And so it was a 1-year master's, and all what I was waiting for was the end, the part of the editorial design. Like, I just wanted to get over with the first part, because it was just, the requirements to wanted to do. And it turns out that it was like a trimester for each part. And I fell in love with the first trimester. I wasn't even interested on trimester 2 or 3 of the masters because I fell in love with the calligraphy part. I was like, oh my God, it's so good that this is how it started, and that I would have never thought about going and just learning calligraphy, but it turned out that was my calling. And well, obviously I finished the masters. I went through the designing font part, which I really didn't like, and then the editorial, which I did appreciate and I did learn because I love editorial design, but I ended up working only doing calligraphy. So I studied in Spain. I'm from Costa Rica in Central America, and so I was a year in Spain, and when I came back, nobody knew what lettering and calligraphy was. Like, it was a whole new thing here in Costa Rica. It was 2014. So that's when I started my blog, because I had to teach people what it was that I studied, what it was that I learned. And so it started like a teaching blog, a platform to share my knowledge and explain people what I was doing. At least here in Costa Rica, all trends that are around the world, they come 2 years late. So when everyone else in the world knew what lettering and calligraphy was, here people had no idea what it was. So it was a huge effort to start, developing the brand and teaching people what it was, what I did, and actually getting paid for it. It was so hard at first. Like, I would have to just start building my portfolio so that I would have enough, images and reference of people knowing what it was that I did, so that I could get hired. And that was 6 years ago. It was a while back now. And now I'm here, and I'm teaching and sharing my knowledge with people from around the world. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing how far this has gone, and how now actually it's just something that people from different profiles and with different life experiences are interested in what I do, and it's very, very fulfilling for me. Okay, so let's get back to it, okay? Because we still have a few letters to go. And if you don't have any more questions, let's just go ahead and continue. And
maybe we can take a couple, let's say 5 minutes before the workshop ends. We can take a couple of questions, let's say 5 minutes before the workshop is supposed to end.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead and erase this and make the following letters. So let's see. Theo. Okay, so we ended in letter P. Now we're gonna do letter J, which is a descender, but it has a curve at the end. So we go ahead and 30-degree, we place my number 2 pencil on X height, go down, and when you're about to reach the descender line, then you make a curve, okay? And that's your J, okay? And you close, and the dot is just a straight line, okay? Now, we're gonna do letter T. Remember that letter T, it's an exception in most alphabets where it doesn't go all the way to the ascender height. It just goes like, in this case, since ascenders are 2 pen widths, it would be only 1 pen width. That would be the height of the letter T, and it's the the basic stroke, okay? We close, and then we go back to where we started. We place the pens where we started, and then we go to the left, and here we make the curve, and it closes, okay? Now, letter S. Someone was asking for letter S, and letter S, it's a bit more complicated, but let's just get to it, okay? So we start with, let's cut and mark our pen widths because it's gonna be easier to understand where to start and where to end each of the strokes, okay? So we start in baseline, we go down 2 pen widths, then we go up to, let's say, let's unnumber this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So we go down up to number 2, go up to number 1, then go down to number 4, and then we close. And that's like the structure of letter S. And now we have to close it, and this is like a curved movement. We place pen number 2 in line number 3, and we make the curve. And then we close here again and the start of the stroke and the safe movement, rounded, and we close. So I'm gonna repeat it here without all the mess of the lines. So we position in X height, go down, vertical, up. Both lines need to match. So please be aware of the 30-degree angle, okay? Then we go down, close, and then curve, close, and close. And that's the letter S, okay? Then we have the ascenders. We're gonna start with letter H. Letter H, we have the closed end stroke, 1, go all the way down, okay? Oh, I missed it, no. All the way down now. Then we break and we close. So that would be the main stroke. And then it's like the letter N, where we place pen number 2 on X height, main stroke. But pay attention, here we're gonna make the movement just like the letter H. So it has like a curve at the end. It's like a small flourish at the end of the H, okay? Now we do K. K, it's exactly the same main stroke here. And now pay attention, because again, we need to break the strokes just like we did with S, okay? So we go here, 1, and we close, okay? And then where we ended, we go horizontally, and then down, and we close with main stroke. Maybe I'm gonna repeat that one because I think it's a hard one, letter K, okay? So 1, 2, 3, and close. Then again, 1 and 2, we close. Horizontal, 1, 2, 3, and close. Third one is letter B. And with letter B, I don't remember, did I do letter O? I'm just gonna go ahead and do letter O because I remember that I explained the curves, but I don't know if I add them in order to make letter O. So remember that with letter O, we start on pen number 2 in baseline, we move 1, close, and then here where we started, a second one, and we match. And that's letter O. Now we need to mix it with the straight strokes in order to make letter B. So we make the ascender stroke, 1, and then we just close it. And that's letter B. Because you see here, what we have is exactly letter O, only that we did the ascender, okay? Now, letter F, it's both ascender and descender. It's a longer stroke. We start in that ascender and we go down. But we go down only one pen width. Remember that we do have two pen widths in descender height, and we go down only one pen width. And then we do horizontal, just like the stroke that we did for letter, for which one? Well, maybe like this movement for letter K. And we close, and then we do the curve here for letter F. Now we have letter A. I'm going too fast. Okay, so where did I miss you? Which one do you want me to repeat? And I'll gladly repeat them. Okay?
Garza, please, and F. She wants to repeat the F.
Okay,
Letter F. Yeah.
it's a long stroke. For the ascender, well, it's crooked. Let me go ahead and repeat it. Here is ascender, X height, baseline, descender. Okay, so like angle, descender. Here we do horizontal. We close, and then we do the curve. Okay. Now we are gonna do. We're only doing lowercase letters. All these are lowercase. We're not doing caps. Just that you know. Okay. So please be aware of that. All these constructions are for lowercase letters. Gothic-style uppercase letters are very complicated, and they're very ornamental. So so please be aware of that. It's just that for lowercase, it doesn't matter if it's script lettering or another F. It's both ascender and descender. It's a long letter, so maybe that's why you got confused. Okay. Now,
And Catalina, we are getting three demands for three letters. The first one is Y, and I guess you're done with the J, and there is one R. So people want J again, and then you can pick one letter, either Y or an R, before we start the workshop.
okay,
So yeah,
letter J, we haven't gotten to letter J, so please bear with me.
yeah.
And well, letter Y, we haven't done letter Y. J, I'm gonna repeat, is just straight descender, and when you're about to reach descender line, you make a curve, closed, and then the dot is just a line. Okay? Now I'm gonna do letter A. And with letter A, it's basically the main stroke, only we're gonna do a double pen width for the closing, the starting stroke, okay? So we do double length. So you see that I have two pen widths here, and then we do main stroke, and we close, okay? And now the same movement like for the round ones where we do double stroke down and then we close, but only we need to do it like from 2/3 of the height of the main stroke. Okay. The most complicated letter in this style, I believe it's X, letter X. Let me get to it, and then you'll tell me if you think it's the more complicated one. But at least it's the more flourished one, so I do think that it has more parts, but it's the same strokes over and over again. So here we close. Okay, it's the same movement as the round one, only from 2/3 of the X height. Okay. Now, letter D. Letter D, we need to construct half of the round shape that you know. And then letter D, it's not a straight line for the ascender, but it goes like this. You go from right to left, you move 2 pen widths, and then you go diagonal and then match and meet the first stroke on the X height line, and then you close. Well, it's crooked. Let me do it again. I'm too far away from it, and it's harder for me. Let's see here. So round shape, diagonal, and then you close. And there it is. Now, letter G and letter Y, I think they're my favorite because I think they're very elegant. The lower part, it's very elegant, but it has a lot of parts. So please pay attention. First, we have the same construction as letter Q. Remember that we did the curved stroke. Then we did the one with the, curved end stroke. So this was the construction for letter Q. Now we're gonna have a main stroke here, main stroke, and this is where it gets pretty nice. You continue the main stroke all the way to 1 pen width of the descender, okay? And then you need to close it, okay? And now, from where the main stroke ended here, you go left, and then you close it with a curve.
Okay. So Catalina, we are actually at the ending of the workshop, so we can have 10 minutes more. Will that do? The
I'm
time,
sorry.
the time is already up, but we think we can push it further by 10 minutes. Is that okay?
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah,
only
we
have
have 10
3
more
more
minutes.
letters to go. Okay,
Yeah.
so letter G and letter Y are the same, only that with letter Y, you missed the closing of the top. So we make the main stroke, and then you close it. And it's exactly the same. And finally, we have letter X and Z. I'm gonna do X. So it's the main stroke. Main stroke. Then like the letter R, remember letter R? There you have your R. And then it comes the flourish. This is like a thinner stroke and it goes like this. I think it's like the Nike logo. And then you close it. And finally, we have letter C, where letter Z is, it's for some reason, I don't know why, you don't vary the angle, so it's thinner than the rest of the letter and the strokes, because you do make a diagonal line, but you need to keep the 30-degree angle. So you'll just make like a regular Z, and it's thinner. It's thinner than the rest, but it's like a regular Z. That's all. And then there we go. We have the entire alphabet. So letter R, it's the same like I did letter X, where it's main stroke, and then you close. That's letter R. I don't know if we have any questions pending.
I don't think so. There, let's just scroll through them. So there are a couple of questions which we can take actually. So there is a
Mm-hmm.
question by Micah. In what cases traditional calligraphy is still being used when there are already fonts available online? I'm really interested in applications. I hope we get a response. So actually, I guess he wants to know that how can we commercialize calligraphy because there are a lot of automated fonts available online.
Okay, that was a lot of information. Okay, where are you reading the question in order for me
In the
to answer?
in the questions tab,
Yeah.
it's a fourth question from the top.
Oh, what
Uh,
is, okay, Manji,
yeah.
okay, what is the style we're learning called? So is it double pen calligraphy or Gothic style? Can you,
Okay, I
okay.
actually you got the wrong different question. It's the fourth question from top. The fourth question from top, and then we'll go on the top term.
Ah, okay.
The fourth
Well,
question, yeah. In what cases is traditional calligraphy still being
oh, okay,
used?
yeah. In what case is traditional calligraphy uh, uh, uh,
Being used, yeah.
still being used, and where already funds available online? Okay, I think that the whole, the thing is that anyone can use a font, a digital font, but not everyone can do it by hand. And that's the, you know, we are definitely going back to the handmade experience of everything in design. And I think that's a worldwide trend. And the fact that, that there was a person behind it is like every time that, I don't know, you ask a question online and you know that it's a bot answering, it's like, oh my god, can I please talk to a real person? I need a human being to answer my questions. I think it's the same experience in design. So the fact that there's actually a person behind it, and that there are mistakes and there are things that are irregular and that are different, and that that it was handmade, I think it adds an additional value. And every time more and more brands and I don't know, more opportunities for people to actually take advantage of that and make a connection with the end customer, regardless of what you're doing. And I think that's what I've taken advantage of. People, again, learning how to do things on their own, trying to, especially, log out of the screen and the digital part, and getting hands on whatever you have in hand. I think that's why it's so important, and that why it has a comeback right now and in the last, I don't know, decade, and definitely more to come, more and more. So this is the best time, I think, to try and reconnect with the handmade art of any type.
Yeah, of course,
Uh,
I'll totally second you on that. It's actually more human. So we'll
mm,
get to the first question by Himanshi Bhalla. What is the style we are learning called? So is it developing calligraphy or Gothic style?
okay.
Can you help with the exact term? So I would actually say that it's a very cool tattoo font style. If it's for a tattoo, that I will choose this one anytime.
Okay, so double pen calligraphy, it's a technique. It's not a style, okay? So you can do different letter styles with double pen calligraphy, okay? Calligraphy, it's the discipline of writing with a specific tool, okay? So like you can do nib calligraphy or marker calligraphy or double pen calligraphy. And last time on part 1 of the workshop, we did Roman style letters with double pen calligraphy, okay? And we can do script calligraphy with double pen calligraphy. So it's 2 terms that can go along, basically, okay?
Yeah. So I guess we are towards the end of the workshop. So do you want to take one more question before we wrap things up?
Okay.
Yeah. So we will take a last question by Navina Saudeshwari. She wants to know that how do you find inspiration in calligraphy?
How do I find inspiration? Okay,
Yeah.
by doing and doing and doing. That's the main thing. Like, you can definitely have your favorite artists, and you can buy books and you can look for references, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's like you're seeing things, but you need to try them, and that's how you'll get the inspiration, by making mistakes and by seeing what you like and what you don't, and then the process will give you the next steps. Okay, so for example, if you are digital artist, which is super valid, and it's a completely different thing of what I do, but I would definitely say do it in paper first, because when you're sitting in front of the screen, you need to make the decision of what you're gonna move and click, or what tool you're gonna use before doing it. So you're limiting yourself of doing. But if you just sit down with a sheet of paper and a pencil and you just start, scribbling, there's a point where you just get so into it, and maybe you're listening to your favorite music, song, whatever inspires you, and get in the mood. And then, the process will give you the answers and the next steps. Something that I use a lot for lettering is tracing paper. And, you just make one first sketch, and then you just using this tracing paper and you just, copying bits and bytes of different sections, and then get a completely different result of the first sketch that you did. So I get my inspiration by doing, because you're going to be your main inspiration, and you're going to be your own limit. So you need to set the goal higher and further for yourself. So, and definitely, practice makes perfect, but you don't want to be perfect, but you want to improve, and that's key. And you need to improve on your own pace, on your own rhythm, on your own skills, on your own style, and on your own time. But you need to do that's key, definitely, on anything that you do in art, or any job. You need to start doing. That's definitely my first and most important advice that I could share with you today.
Of course, that was actually really valuable. And Catalina, thank you so much for joining again. And we are having so much demand of third session, so I hope we can plan something together. And guys, yeah, and guys, so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. And for such more events, please follow Designhill on Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn, so you can have all the fresh updates with you. And do not forget to follow Catalina on LinkedIn. We already have a link dropped in the chat section, and of course, we have an Instagram link
And
as well.
I would love for you to share your process. Please tag me on Instagram. You can find me like ElTintero CR, ElTintero CR. Please, if you can share the link so that you can tag me, because I would love to see your process and your results and your comments on the experience today. It was my pleasure to share this workshop with you. And I'm really, really looking forward for part 3. So I hope that you do request it. We can do script lettering with the double pencil. Then we can, of course, explore many, many more tools. But I like to work with what you have in hand, and that's not a limit. Wherever you're in the world, we most likely have pencils, and that's all you need. That's all you need to start doing. Okay. So I hope you have a great evening. For me, it's only 10:40 a.m. So I have the rest of the day ahead. But for you that I know that it's late, Have a great evening, and I hope to see you on part 3.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, and have a good day ahead. And I would say hasta luego in Spanish. I don't know how they'll say it right or not.
Hasta luego. O
Yeah, hasta
adiós.
luego. See you again, adios. See you again, adios. Yeah, I got those lines. Yeah, I made a big job. Come on, guys. So thank you so
Okay.
much, Catalina, and we will see you again soon.
Hope to see you again all. Take care.
Take care, guys. Bye bye.